Hi guys, welcome to Counterpoints. My name is Connor, and today we're going to be breaking down the phenomenal and criminally underpromoted DEATHWATCH vs. Necron animation released on Warhammer TV. It has great violence and memes, and so I'm ecstatic to be bringing it to you today. If you're new to the channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and check out our animation breakdowns and our real-life bolter video. Our cinematic starts out with panicked guardsmen fleeing to an anteroom and securing the door. They are met by two DEATHWATCH Space Marines, both of whom are sons of Rogel Dorn, one a Crimson Fist and the other a Black Templar. This episode is brought to you by Mastermind Models and Miniatures. They are a phenomenal paint studio out of Huntsville, Alabama, who are waiting for your commission idea. You know darn well that you're just going to spend another fortune on plastic gray kits that are just going to sit there in your pile of shame, and it will take years to get them on the battlefield. Instead of procrastinating, let Mastermind Models and Miniatures bring your imagination to life. Go to the link down in the description below and tell them that we sent you. A majority of the military heavy lifting in the Warhammer universe is done by the Imperial Guard. They are everyday men and women, often pressed into service, trained to face down the horrors of the galaxy with nothing but grit and a lasgun. Contrary to popular opinion, lasguns are quite powerful. Similar to modern-day battle rifles, and their rechargeable battery packs make them quite the technological and logistical innovation. That being said, there are such horrifying threats in the Warhammer universe that they break the minds of even the bravest warriors, which is where the Adeptus Astartes step in. In High Gothic, the Adeptus Astartes; in Low Gothic, Space Marines. They are also known as the Angels of Death. Space Marines are gene-crafted, transhuman marvels armed with the most advanced weapons and wearing the most advanced armor available to the Imperium. Space Marines are recruited from adolescent males, put through grueling trials, and implanted with viral machines known as gene seed that turns them into 8-foot-tall demigods of war. They boast a variety of enhancements that make them stronger, faster, and more durable than mortal human beings, and they are also physiologically and psychologically trained out of the fear of death or grave injury. Gene seed is derived from Primarchs, transhuman beings as powerful to a Space Marine as a Space Marine is to a human, and each of them were the moral and genetic examples to their sons. Many Primarchs are dead or disappeared in millennia past, and each have an Arthurian legend about how they will return during a galactic Armageddon. In recent years, 2 loyalist Primarchs have returned, and several traitor Primarchs have become active, intensifying the battle for humanity's survival. Primarch Rogel Dorn is presumed dead in an ancient battle against the forces of chaos, and is a gene father to the 2 Marines we first meet. Rogel Dorn was raised on a planet of Inuit, a frigid death world where logistics and tribal loyalty was the difference between life and death. From extremely sparse and humorless conditions, he unified the tribes of his planet and reclaimed technology that granted his people access to the stars. The Primarch even restarted an ancient space fortress known as the Phalanx, which is perhaps the greatest and certainly one of the largest vessels ever created by the human race. It now serves as the base of operations for the Imperial Fist chapter of Space Marines. After the Great War, known as the Horus Heresy, it was Primarch Roboute Guilliman's idea to break up the remaining Space Marine legions into autonomous chapters of 1,000 Marines. Rogel Dorn was the Emperor's most trusted defender, had defeated the God of Blood in a game of wits, and carried his father's broken body to the Golden Throne where it now rests. Dorn found the idea of breaking up his legion repulsive, and almost sparked a new war with his loyalist brothers over the idea. Rogel ultimately relented, and the Imperial Fist Legion was broken up into many new chapters, including the Black Templars and Crimson Fists. These Marines are unified in their service to the Deathwatch, a special forces organization that recruits from all chapters and is adept in hunting aliens. The Deathwatch was formed after a devastating war with orcs known as the War of the Beast, in which the Sons of Dorn played a vital role. It is fitting then that these Marines from different chapters are unified for the task at hand, and their behavior is exemplary of their heritage. The Black Templars are characteristic of Rogel Dorn's wrath, and so kicking in the door to fight aliens toe-to-toe is appropriate. The Crimson Fists are masters of marksmanship and defense, famous for last stands against all odds. The Crimson Fist Marine, taking an Overwatch position to rain precision shots into the enemy, is identically appropriate. The Marines face off against Necron Flayed Ones, who have already eviscerated Loyalist forces in this chamber. The Necron tier were one of the most ancient races in the galaxy, older even than the Eldari. They traded in cancerous and short-lived mortal forms for immortal metal, and dream of an infinite empire. In the early years of their existence, they hunted and killed the Old Ones, fought their creations, the Eldari and Krork, and even enslaved their own gods, the Catan. This war was long and hard fought, and so instead of battling the Eldari for control of the stars, the Necrons instead chose to sleep, waiting for when the galaxy was ripe for conquest. Waking now to find their ancient enemies weakened and devolved, and a fledgling race stealing their birthright, the Necrons use their advanced technology and metal forms to take back what is rightfully theirs. Now, just because they are ancient, powerful, and ascendant does not mean they are without flaw. The higher up in Necron tier society a noble was before their biotransference, the more of their personality they retained. Necrons kept many of their mortal eccentricities, including their tendency for dynastic rivalries, meaning they're as likely to fight each other as they are other races. Biotransference imbued the consciousness of Necron tier into immortal metal forms, but seems to have destroyed all or most of their soul with disastrous consequences. Some Necrons were driven insane by their desire to breathe with non-existent lungs, eat to fill stomachs replaced by energy coils, or drink with mouths permanently fixed into a death mask. The most insane of the Necrons began slaughtering living creatures, jamming their flesh into their closed mouths, and decorating their exterior with the gore and viscera, trying to reclaim biological existence in an insane berserker frenzy. This insanity is transferable, a digitized code that can infect more Necrons who communicate with or are in physical proximity to Flayed Ones. During Necron battles, without invitation from the Warhost, Flayed Ones will teleport in and massacre Necron opponents, turning the battlefield into a bloody spectacle. Generals and Necron warriors will avoid these diseased creatures as one avoids the plague, lest they too fall to the bloodthirst. Necron nobles are torn on the future of their species. Sarek, the Silent King, believes their existence to be a curse and is trying to find a way to reverse biotransference and restore true life to his people. Many, including Imhotep the Stormlord and Trazen the Infinite, have accepted their fates and want to use their gifts to create an infinite empire or curate and preserve all novelties of existence. Others, such as Orkin the Diviner and Illuminor Saris, view their current immortal shells as stepping stones to godhood and are attempting to unlock the secrets of life, death, and energy so that they can ascend to not just immortality, but invulnerability and omnipotence. While Necron nobles conquer new territories, pursue their ambitions, and bathe in glory, the Flayed Ones are a constant reminder that insanity and a fate worse than death may be only a few stray thoughts away. The Destroyer Lord who breaks into the room is another dangerous example of his race. Where some Necrons were driven insane with bloodlust, desperately craving a return to an organic form, members of the Destroyer cult have fully embraced their metal bodies and a nihilistic hatred for organic life. While it is suspected that the Destroyers have fallen prey to another virus, their utility in battle is undisputed. Destroyers are socially outcast, but every major Necron dynasty retains a Destroyer formation to unleash on their enemies. Unchained from the desire to resemble their organic heritage, Destroyers will take on a variety of forms to optimize their lethality. Locust Destroyers have replaced their legs with grav sleds and their arms with heavy weapons. Hexmarks are tripedal monstrosities with insectoid sensors and 6 arms, each extending an emetic pistol. Emetic weapons fire a beam of energy that makes their target disintegrate as the atoms of their structure are repelled from one another. Ophidian Destroyers are serpentine spines that writhe across the battlefield to rip their enemies apart. Scorpec Destroyers are also tripedal, but prefer to close in for the kill with hyperphase blades. Necrons will often use hyperphase weapons in close combat that shift across multiple dimensions at every moment and cut through heavy armor like a hot knife through butter. The Destroyer Lord is a formidable opponent as he is filled with hatred of these vermin usurpers and armed with an emetic annihilator, a hyperphase harvester, and flensing claws to purge them. Any sane mortal warrior would flee, but the Marines instead prove their mettle. The Crimson Fist harasses the Lord with bolter fire while the Black Templar charges headlong into the fray. After a shoulder charge with a storm shield, the Black Templar has to parry a hyperphase blade, a claw, and an emetic shot before narrowly dodging a return slash that gashes his armor. The battle is precariously close as the Crimson Fist is ambushed by a flayed one, and the Black Templar Storm Shield is obliterated by an emetic beam. The Storm Shield has a powerful energy field that can block most powerful attacks, but the beam overwhelms that energy field and bites through the armor, destroying it on a molecular level. Undeterred, the Marines press the attack while a Space Wolf Reaver drops from the ceiling. Using the fearlessness of his chapter along with some grav shoots and some luck, the Space Wolf falls onto the back of the Scorpec Lord and uses a combat blade honed to a monomolecular edge to pry off the Lord's gun arm. Infuriated by this trespass, the Lord hurls the Space Wolf across the room, but the son of Leman Russ turns it into a graceful combat roll and a heavy bolt pistol shot to stagger his enemy. The Crimson Fist fires another precision shot before the Black Templar closes with a decapitating power sword strike. The Templar and Wolf bask in the glory of the temple dedicated to Primarch Guilliman, while the Crimson Fist delivers a coup de grace to what remains of the Scorpec Lord. On Warhammer TV, they are calling this a vignette, whereas I call it cinematic euphoria. Oftentimes, Warhammer animations are bogged down in stilted exposition or visual explorations of scenes that you have to be a lore nerd to appreciate. What I love about this animation is it gives us brutal, awesome, and over-the-top violence, but details are chock full of lore for anyone looking to appreciate them. As a brief example, we talked about how the zealous melee combat of the Black Templar, or the precision overwatch of the Crimson Fist, play into their respective chapters' lore. The exact same can be said of the Space Wolf Reaver. Space Wolves are descended from the Primarch Leman Russ, hail from the frozen death world of Fenris, and they are recruited from the nomadic tribes who make their harsh life on the ice. Fenrisian children must be able to grip an axe at birth, or else they are thrown into the sea. The tribes are subject to volatile seismic eruptions and glacial shifts, always having to move camp to keep pace with fertile but difficult to access fishing grounds. When they run into each other, the right to territory is often decided by battle. Fenrisian men in adolescence will chop and impale each other with war axes and hunting spears, reminiscent of the Vikings of ancient Terra. Those adolescents who show prowess fighting Fenris's many apex predators, or in battle, may be selected to become a Space Wolf. Space Wolves take much of their culture from their home planet, naming companies, equipment, and warriors after apex predators. They are quarrelsome and tempestuous in nature, but also loyal and fierce in battle. The chapter has even developed an ale that can overcome their advanced physiology, which they imbibe during downtime. The wolves regale each other with sagas of long-dead brothers, boasting of brave deeds worthy of remembrance. It is this heritage and character that inspired the Reaver. The role of Reaver is that of a scout and shock troop. They use grapnel launchers and gravity chutes to get where they're least expected. When least expected, they unleash a barrage of bolter rounds from bolt carbines or go to work with heavy bolt pistols and blades, often making quick and terror-filled work of their chosen target. No doubt, This Space Wolf will ask his brothers to confirm this heroic deed to his chapter upon his return. If you want to support the channel for free, please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell for new videos, and comment for the comment gods. Your viewership alone helps me in the algorithm and is appreciated. If you want to take your support a bit further, please become a YouTube member or join us on patreon.com/counterpoints. Check out the other videos on the channel, support our sponsors, and I'll catch you in the next one. Until the end.